Welcome to the show, folks. This is Wrestling Changed My Life. Here we go.
And I was 12 and all, and I broke my foot right before nationals.
We can endure anything and adapt and pivot and change. Wrestling gave us that ability.
I would say nothing in life has impacted me more than the things wrestling has taught me in terms of self-reflection, resilience.
Toughness. Some guys have it, some guys don't.
Adversity, 100%. How to pick myself up and be a man after I failed.
And everything that has shaped my life and where I'm at today would not be there without the values and basically the lessons I've learned through the sport of wrestling.
For me, wrestling saved my life because it allowed me to focus and channel my energy.
We're fortunate you wrestled, because if you wrestled, natural talent helps, but it's 5% of the ingredient. It pales in comparison to heart and technique and effort.
It humbled me, taught me humility. Nothing can humble you more than wrestling. I think it's the learning to adapt, right? You learn how to adapt, you learn how to solve problems.
You know, if I look back at my time I spent wrestling, if it gave me one thing more than anything else, it's mental toughness.
Welcome back to the Wrestling Changed My Life podcast. This is your host, Ryan Warner. How we doing? How we living out there, everybody? It's so good to be back with you. It turns out that this week is International Week on the show. On Monday, we had 2016 Bulgarian Olympian Georgy Ivanov, and today we have Ukrainian-born Nazar Kulchytskyy. Nazar recently retired from wrestling after a super successful career. He was a multiple-time U.S. Open place winner. He was a 3-time Division III national champ. But this episode focuses a lot on Nazar's childhood, being born and raised in Ukraine, moving up the ranks through their circuit, and then taking the huge jump to move with his parents from Ukraine to the United States. I hope you enjoy it. I know it was really moving for me, and I enjoyed it as well. Fan of the Week goes to Brandon Scott. He's a Floridian who is eagerly awaiting our next Bobby Douglas episode, as am I, my friend. I will certainly let you know when Bobby comes back on the show, but in the meantime, thanks so much for listening. And folks, this episode is brought to you by a friendly reminder to leave a review or a star rating. So if you're on Apple Podcasts, just scroll to the bottom of your feed and you will see a couple stars there. So leave whatever star rating you find appropriate. It's similar for Spotify. And if you want to keep up with the show, follow us on Instagram, Wrestling Changed My Life. On Twitter, it's my full name, Ryan_N_Warner. And obviously, WrestlingChangedMyLife.com. That's it, folks. Let's give it up for the great Nazar Kulchytskyy. Now, let me start with this, though. How did you not go down the path of being a musician, since your parents both taught music?
That's a good question. I don't know. My dad told me that I always gonna be playing music as well. You know, he trying to teach me how to play piano, but I never had that patience. Like I remember after in whatever grade, first, second, third, he trying to teach me piano right after school, and I just looked for excuses to go to wrestling room because I couldn't play. You know, I cannot sit in one spot as a kid, so I just keep telling my dad oh, I gotta help coach to coach some other kids and then jump to my practice, and I just sit in wrestling room all day instead of that. So
Were you working out or just literally sitting there at the time to get away from it?
I was working out. I was helping. I was always in wrestling room. So we had 3 groups, started from 3:30 and all the way to 10 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
practices, and I'll just show up there in the morning and maybe help my coach a little bit or maybe wrestle those guys a little bit. And then jump in second group and wrestle with them, and then jump sometimes even in third group and wrestle those. Just have a couple of practices in a row. So just so I can not, be out there playing piano with my dad.
Get out of piano, man. So I was fascinated by that because Ukraine was one of the hardest hit countries in World War II, and the region you had mentioned, that was one of the first spots that the Germans invaded, from what I can tell. And so, was your family impacted by World War II?
My grandpa was he was a soldier, so he actually got shot in the leg, and when he was somewhere in Poland, I believe, by time, and he was in hospital for a while, and he was in some war actions. So yeah.
It's an incredibly tough time, and I could imagine that's why your folks had such a yearning to get out of Ukraine. It's because of some of the things they lived through, a crazy life, and so when they had you and your brother and sister, I had read that they wanted to get you out of there, and I was just trying to wonder why. But I wanted to ask you, did they ever talk about that time, and is that one of the reasons why they wanted to leave Ukraine?
The main reason is just Ukraine never had the country just didn't allow people to have those opportunities than we have here in US. So the main reason is they know if I'm done wrestling, I'm not be able to get a decent job after that. And education doesn't really mean much out there either. So you go to college, you graduate, you work hard, but you're not going to have decent job, unless you're a politician or doing some really successful businessman, which is literally hard to do out there in Ukraine because there's corruption. So like every time you're trying to get anything going, they're going to take money away from you and all the camps. And it's why you don't have really small businesses out there. It's everything, either people millionaires or they're poor. So it's just a tough country to live in.
Now, do your brother and sister still live there?
Yes, my brother and sister both live there. They're older than I am, and when my dad won green card lottery, they didn't allow to come because they're older than 21.
Right, and we'll get to that because that's one of the craziest turning points in this story, but a lot of foundation work before we get to the green card lottery. And so your parents are both music teachers. Were they professional musicians or they just loved it and that's what they did?
So my mom used to sing at that one band back in the day. So she was in music school, and it's how they met in music school with my dad. So my mom was in that one band, and she was always involved with music. And then when she met my dad, they end up marrying and end up having like little family business playing weddings. So as I remember when I was a kid, they always play weddings, and I was always around dancing and eating and stuff like that. So my brother played piano. He is amazing at it. My sister can sing, and my brother can play other instruments as well. So there's just, we're really good at weddings, and it was good family business for us, I would say.
And so you're out there doing backflips on the dance floor, whereas everyone else is playing music, playing instruments, bringing a nice harmony to the wedding.
Yeah, I tried to, but when I was a kid, I was always been active and always running around with the local kids and having fun.
So how big is wrestling in Ukraine?
I would say as big as here in US, probably. So it's not number one sport in the country, but it's pretty big. Mm-hmm. A lot of people doing it. The thing is, like in US, there's a system in high school and in middle school, and in college. In Ukraine, we don't have that. So we just have a lot of good clubs. And I would say we don't have as many good wrestlers, as many like amount of wrestlers coming from the country. But if they do, they're really serious about that. Mm-hmm. Also, start from 7th grade, they have special academies in Ukraine. I would say 7 academies, and that's like old Soviet Union system. When kids go and have 2 practices a day and have a school through academy. So we also have that. I would say 7 or 8 around the country, and also we just have a lot of clubs. So. How
old are you to be in that academy?
So 7th grade, I believe 12, 13 years old.
So it starts in 7th grade, and then you're with them from 7th grade all through the Olympics, if you make it that far.
Yeah, if you make it that far. Obviously, you graduate high school, and then you can go through the college, and you can still be part of it. So, yeah, go all the way through.
I mean, let's not forget the great Bela Glazovs are from Ukraine, even though people think they're from Russia. I mean, you mentioned that, the Soviet Union influence. I could imagine that's everything in terms of wrestling, just because of the Soviet Union's dominance. What was it like your first couple years in the Ukrainian system? Were you wrestling a lot? Was it technique? Like, how did the practice differ from what you're doing or teaching kids here in the United States?
I would say we wrestle more. We don't drill really as much. We drill a little bit, and then we wrestle way more than they do here in US. And then we go live a lot. So wrestle and then just jump into life and we just go life a lot. And from when I was a little kid, started from 7, 8, 9, I started lifting really early. So my coach made me do that. And on top of that, my coach always have that little whip. And if somebody is not doing right thing or maybe talking, not paying attention, he whip us with it, which is maybe be a little illegal in here.
Like an actual whip?
So do you know, like in a car, in order to close the window, there's that little rubber thing that kind of closes together. So he kind of cut those two pieces and kind of have that like one big little thing, and he just smack the kids. And but
no way.
Yeah, with the young kids, obviously it was like easy, but as older you get, harder he smacks. So it's yeah.
Woo! What would be a violation worthy of a whip?
What's that again? What
would you have to do to get whipped? Like what was something you would do that was bad enough that he would bring out the old whip?
So I would say like you running around and you talking to your friend. So while you're running, you need to just focus on getting warm, but then you talking and joking around and all that and create that kind of loud noise. Coach just brought those two guys in and boom, go for it.
And so they'd bring you in and make an example of it. So what would they just stand there, or would they have to like bend over? Like how would it go down?
Oh, coach is like, come over here. And he just stay in front and just boom, going for it.
On the back or the face?
Oh no, in the butt.
On the butt. Oh man, they're not playing around over there. Oh my
God.
Yep. So it's funny you say that about the no drilling, because I just had Georgi Ivanov on last week or 2 weeks ago. He grew up in Bulgaria and said very similar things, that they're not even allowed to wrestle in tournaments until 5th grade, but the practice is, it's just a lot different than the U.S. in terms of the structure. And so my question is, how do people in the Eastern European countries, former Soviet Union, if you're not drilling, how do you learn the skills?
Well, you go drill a little bit, not much. So like maybe one move. I mean, I would say every single school is different, right? Because I've been in 2 different places. Before at 12, I moved to a different spot and I was there. But it's hard to remember for me right now. But I remember we drill maybe 1-2 moves a day, no more than that, in case, and then we just go back to like just play wrestle and then just live. A lot of play wrestling, a lot of life, but we did drill maybe 1-2 moves at it. So it's like really minimum of drilling and focus on 1-2 things and then boom, jump to play wrestling and then live.
I put out a post that said Bulgarians don't drill, and I'll put out something similar for ours here. And then all the youth coaches are messaging me saying, Ryan, how are we supposed to teach our kids anything? And I'm like, that's a great question. I don't know, but obviously it works because a lot of people have spent time in Russia also say that, like in Ossetia and Dagestan, they don't drill that much either.
Yeah, they just all call it push, and and they just pretty much go on live. So
crazy.
And the lower Eastern Europe.
So you got to start in it. You're extremely athletic. You have a good muscular build on you. So you're having some success early on. Why did you move to Odessa at age 10?
Because my coach moved to Odessa. So he had, so in Western Ukraine, we have the coal factories where, you dig coal for like 1 kilometer underneath the ground. And my coach started having a little bit of lung problems. And he needed to go away and have to go somewhere to move where it's a clear air. And Odessa, like right by Black Sea, have been a really good spot for him. And also there's a big club in Odessa region as well. It's not Odessa, it's Odessa region called Yuzhny. And this beautiful spot right in the Black Sea. And so he ended up moving there, and he talked to my dad to allow my dad to move, to make me move with him. And and my mom didn't allow me to come, and we had that big talk, and my dad said they're going to take care of him. They have a great club out there, and I ended up moving when I was 12. That's why.
And this is Coach Leonidas?
Leonid.
Yeah, Leonid. Okay.
Leonid. We call him Leonid. Yeah, but yeah.
So what was so special about him that you wanted to go with him? Was he like an Olympic level coach?
So he started wrestling when he was older, like 18, 19. So he started really and he was national champion 2 years later. And then I believe he placed 6th in Soviet Union. Soviet Union was stacked.
Ooh.
And but he started late, but he just such a hardworking guy. He built the wrestling room from scratch. He's engineer as well. So he like built the wrestling room from his scratch on his own, and he coached kids all day long on top of working 10 hours as engineer. So he literally worked and then he slept, and he did it over and over and over again. He just loved wrestling. And he taught me everything I knew, when I was that age, and I knew that I need to go with him because he'd take care of me. So.
But did you have any idea of how big of a decision it was, though, when you were making it? I mean, to move 1,000 miles away when you're in middle school is crazy.
I know. I had idea. I thought it would be tough, but I didn't know how tough it would be until I actually started living that life and find out that I'm missing my parents so much and all my family, but can I see him only twice a year, So I was tough. I was brutal. I was struggling. But on the good side, 2 years later, I was so independent that I don't really need anybody, Mm-hmm. All I needed is wrestle.
Just kind of a rite of passage to make it through as like, you're not even 2 years later, you're 14, 15, you're not really a man yet, but you're getting there. But it was like, you experienced missing home and that kind of loneliness right away.
Yep, exactly. So by time 14, I felt like I'm adult already. So.
What was the training like when you got to Odessa? From what I understand, you were running like a 5 a.m. run, and you were doing the school where it was part of the academy?
Actually, it's not part of academy. So there's a lot of academies, but that part is just a club. So I was still going to school with the regular kids. So in the morning, for example, Leonid wakes me up, and if I cannot get up, he puts some water in my face. That was his favorite thing to do. And then I got up, and he biked every single time, and I ran. And we go into a Black Sea, and I was going from one place to another, just pretty much go through beach one way, another way. And then he made me do some sprints uphill. We have the big hills and the sand, and he made me do sprints, like 10 of them. And then we have pull-up bars there, and we have other things, and I do other regular sprints, and I like body carrying him a little bit, did some fireman squats, and so I just did all of that, and then I'm just going to eat and then go to school. And after school, come back, and we have practice at p.m., about 5 p.m. or so. And the second practice, and it's 2-hour practice. And top of that, I had lift after that, would say, for another hour, and then I go home.
You lifted after that wrestling practice?
Yep, every day. Yep.
No recovery days back then, huh? Just going.
Going hard, and I felt like I was so much stronger than everybody else. I felt strong. I work on technique. I spend enough time I've been going like that for 6 days. And then on Saturdays, we had like long runs, like 10K runs, and just go there and just climb as many ropes as possible. So we had long run and then like trying to get as many ropes as possible. I remember me and my buddy out there, we both won nationals, and we just super competitive, and we just trying to climb as many ropes as possible, and we make sure we beat each other. So like we were both climbing maybe 30 each, and I asked him how many he climbed, and he climbed like 30, but I find out that he climbed like 32. So I climbed a couple more, and then he found out that I climbed a couple more. So like after shower, he just go back out there and climb a couple more ropes that I didn't see. He can climb. So like we always like make sure like I'm the hardest working guy in the room. So It's good to have this guy. His name is Igor. He ended up placing second European championships when I already moved to US. But year before that, he didn't make it, and I took third. So we always push each other. Been good friends.
So Saturday you do the long 10K, and you're talking about rope climbs, like going all the way up, all the way down 30 sometimes.
No legs all the way up. We have that tall ceiling too, and we just going up and down and trying to do 2 in a row, 3 in a row sometimes. You got really good at that rope climb.
No legs?
No legs at all, no.
And how old are you at this point, you think?
I'm 14, 15. All the way from 14 to like 17. Been doing that, 13 to 17.
And when you were off on the weekends, would you have like a laptop where you could FaceTime your parents, or was it all just very primitive,
We have phone calls. So I didn't really have phones yet. I was like 2007. I didn't have a phone yet with a camera. So it's just like we made long distance calls from my coach's phone. So I talked to them, like trying to do a couple times a week.
And what was that workout? Was that 12 months a year? Literally 12 months a year doing that, or would you take time off?
I would say 11 months, and then 1 month we kind of had a little bit of a lighter, and then I can go home, for that one time for a couple of weeks. And then my coach called me and said, "Oh, we got a tournament coming up. We going, so your vacation cut short by 1 week. Go back. I got you a ticket already." And I was like, "Oh, great. All right." So, and then I'm back. So I would say 2-3 weeks, the most I have off, kind of. But I still have to do my own stuff at home. I do like 100 pull-ups a day and lift and do this and that.
And was it hard every time you'd leave? Like, would you cry every time? I mean, my mom used to cry when she'd see me in California, and I was only going to be, a couple months till I saw her again. You're 14 years old going back home after a couple weeks. Go ahead.
Yeah, like every time I was leaving, I'm fine. But then like that moment when I'm in a train and start hitting and everybody's waving me and kind of like my mom started crying, and I was just like, it hits me every single time. Yeah. So like the moment I was like, oh man. Yeah. So
thought you were going to keep it together. Then it falls apart right at the end.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, what about the tournaments? How many tournaments a year were you going to when you were like 14, 15?
We had maybe 7-8 tournaments or so. So when I was younger, it was like maybe 5-6 total. But when I'm older, I would say it's about 7-8, maybe 9.
So not nearly as many as the kids are doing here.
No. But every tournament we have out there, there's like international tournaments pretty much. Couple regionals or nationals, but most of them international. So Russia, Moldova, like Bulgaria, like other countries are coming over to those tournaments. And it's like 40, 50 kids in a bracket. So it's all tournaments are pretty tough.
Holy shit, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's different than the 4-man round robin bracket at the Oshkosh High School, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is kind of the life you grew up in. You this is all you knew, really, and you're a 5-time champ. When you placed third at the Europeans, what was the process like to make Team Ukraine?
So we have regular national tournament in October, and then you wins that. It just doesn't really give you much other than being national champ, right, in cadet level. And then I believe May. So that one is really big one because you win it. If you win the tournament, you end up going to even Europeans or Worlds. And those couple of years, they didn't have World Championships for some reason in cadets. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly why, but there's no Worlds in cadets. So I remember the first year, one time I was in the finals. I barely lost to a guy, and I was devastated. It was when I was 2 years younger than everybody else in cadets. I took second. That guy ended up taking second in Europeans. So a year later, I beat him, and I beat some other good guys. And I wrestled Shuktar a lot of times. I don't know if you remember him. He took third at World, 61 kilos. So I wrestled him like twice in the finals. We've been a really big rivalry going out there. And then I made that European Championship, and my bracket, I have no idea anybody who's in my bracket, but one guy from Russia, because I wrestle him a lot, Yemaev. Mm-hmm. We were in Dagestan. We actually hang out, and he invited all American team to his house. It was pretty cool that we still bonding. So, yeah, so he remembers me really well. He started coaching right now as well out there. He's done wrestling, but so I wrestled him a couple times. We beat each other a couple times. So I knew just him. I have no idea who's everybody else. And I ended up making the semifinals. And I remember wrestling a guy from Azerbaijan, and I had no idea who that is at a time. And it was close match. It was still like, best of 3 periods. And I remember I lost 1-0 first period, and second one I was winning 1-0. And then he kind of shooted me. I hit him out. We kind of both went our bounds. I give him takedown. I ended up losing 1-1. But I found out later, and then that was Aliyev, Haji Aliyev.
Ooh, I was hoping you were going to say Aliyev, because he's an exciting guy to watch wrestle.
Yep. So, but I remember, so me and the Russian guy, Naev, we ended up taking third, both of us, because we were on different sides. But I remember somebody beat Aliyev in the finals from Georgia, and I had no idea who that is. And later on, all the way in 2016, when Tyler Mercury went to a World Clubs Cup, we had Vlad Hingashvili in our team. And he was asking me about my, childhood. And I said, yeah, I went to European Championship 2008. And he's like, oh, really? What weight class do you wrestle? And I said, like 54 kilos. And he's like, there's no way I wrestle in that weight class. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I ended up beating Aliyev in the finals. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, because I had no idea that was you. I just knew some guy from Georgia, but I didn't really pay attention to names. So, yeah, I had Billy, I had Aliyev in my bracket, and Yumeyev and me and some other good guys. So it was good.
And the Europeans, I mean, I say it all the time in here, so people are sick of it, but outside of the World Championships, the Europeans are the hardest tournament in the world.
Yeah, there's so many good countries. There's so many good wrestlers.
And so you got third that year, and then the following year, why did you – well, I guess my question is, how close were you to being like on the path to being an Olympian versus deciding to leave to the U.S.? Because I'm just surprised that you were so good and so dominant, and you still decided to come to the U.S. with your parents. Was it hard to leave that, knowing you could be a Ukrainian Olympian?
Really hard that, because the club really take care of me. They give me opportunities to train with like national team and senior level. I start going with those guys and start getting better and better, and just training with the best guys like Fedorishin and Stadnik. I was start training with those guys and, getting better and learn. I felt like I had a great situation out there. And I don't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. I said, Dad, like, you go and I'll just stay here. I have my thing going on here. And he said, no, and he had a long talk with me, and he said, like, for the future, it's going to be way better. You're going to go to a good university, and you're going to graduate. You're going to have a good job when you're done with wrestling. If wrestling goes well for you, it's great. But if not, you're going to have a, back plan. You're going to graduate, and you're going to, you're going to be all right. You're going to be a man out there in U.S., and it's going to be way harder to have a future here in Ukraine. And it made a lot of sense, and I felt like, all right, I guess I'm going. And then I wanted to wrestle, and then, cadet one more year. I had one more year. So I was like, it's my year to win Europeans or Worlds or whatever it was. So, but we ended up leaving like a couple months before that because we had to go. And
how heart-wrenching was it to say bye to Leonida? Or I forget how you said it again. I'm butchering it, but how hard was that conversation?
I was tough. I had to tell him, yeah, it's what my dad wants, and I believe it's best for me in the future. And he was just shaking his head. He's like, well, whatever, don't be a stranger. Stop by, come over and call, and stay in touch. So,
but think about that guy though. I mean, he had been training you for years, and you're now at the level where you were about to make a world team, a cadet world champion, and you had to leave. It's like, obviously it's the best thing for you, and thank God you did it. But man, that had to be brutal. Like, so you've had like two big moments in your life, moving to Odessa and then leaving Odessa.
Yep, exactly. That was tough. That was really tough. I didn't know what to expect. All I was thinking, like, my English should be okay. I should be all right. I'll be fine. And then the first conversation in US, I had no idea what's going on. I couldn't understand that word. Like, I was bad. So, like, I was straight up got depressed. And I was like, wow, like, I can't communicate. All I got is wrestling, and I can just speak through wrestling. It's all I got. That's about it.
So, and I had read that. So, like, you had taken English as a class, just like anyone does in school. And it was just like, it just wasn't fluent English. It wasn't close, or what?
So here's the thing. Like, when you're a wrestler out there in Ukraine, my coach was worried about my wrestling way more. So wrestling was way more important than school. So, like, even if you have exams or other stuff's going on, my coach come over to my professor and say, hey, this guy, he ended up placing a European championship. He has a big future in front of him. So he need to go to a senior level camp to train with Olympians and, world medalist. So it's a great opportunity for him. So is that okay if you leave for 2 weeks? And they're like, yeah, I think it's good. So it's like, so when school was going, I was training. I was going to one camp to another, wrestle senior level guys. they taking care of me, and I go back to school. I had no idea what's going on. Like math, I missed like months or more than that. I don't know what's going on. Same with English. So like I knew I was learning something, but I mean it wasn't consistent. So
Wow. And so and I had read that, like I said, that all happens, right? You get to the U.S., you get to Wisconsin, you meet this crazy guy named Larry Marciando.
Larry Marciando. Yep.
How did this all come about? Where your parents got the visa or the green card lottery, and you ended up in Wisconsin? Like, take us through that path.
So 2 years before that, me and my parents, they didn't want green card yet, but they wanted to come over to U.S. really bad. At least my dad and me. You know, my mom, she's like, all right, at least you can two go. You know, so me and my dad came to embassy 2 years before we came to U.S. and we were looking for, you know, just to open visa and trying to come over to U.S. somehow. Let's see if they can open it. And they never opened for both of us. They said, okay, maybe you just go by yourself. But my dad, like, no, I'm not allowing him to go by himself anymore.
Even on vacation, you can't just come for like 2 weeks?
Well, the thing is, in Ukraine, we don't really have that much money. You cannot just go and do like pay $1,000 for tickets here and there. And just like, we don't have that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's, it's either you go for a decent amount, you know, and start learning and be in school. So my dad didn't allow me anymore to go by myself. He wanted to go with me. And one guy who answered on all our emails from U.S. was Larry. He's the only guy who responded. And he said, yeah, come over. We have a school here in Wisconsin. And when you come over, we'll be training. You've been taken care of here, and everything's going to be great. And so when I got to U.S., we already knew Larry. So 2 years later, we got there. Larry was there, and Larry found us a great family in Prairie du Chien. And it was Mel Dow and his family. And we ended up going out there in Prairie du Chien. And Mel found great jobs for my parents. And I was training there, and Mel trying to get great situation for me as well. He brought like a bunch of Badger guys back in the days, like Andrew Howe to train with me, or other guys train with me, and Trevor Brandvold, those guys. So like I had a good training situation. Mel did great job, and Larry did great job as well. So that's why I was ended up being in Wisconsin.
So was that Fargo where you got third? Was that your first summer over here?
Yes. So I came in March. Obviously, I was after Folkstyle season, and I was started wrestling and training, and I won like Freestyle State and the Northern Plains. They always talk about those big guys who are really good, like Dylan S. and other guys, and you got to get ready for them. They're like Triple Crown champions, and you're going to have tough bracket. And I remember I would wrestle, and I beat some of those guys, and I won it. And then in Fargo, I would say a couple days before Fargo, I tweaked my knee really bad. And I don't know if I'm going to wrestle. I can't walk. Like, I'm like, it's swollen. And my coach, Mike Jerome in Wisconsin, he said, just don't think about it. Like, you've been training all your year about it. Just don't think about your knee. Just, like, go out there and wrestle. That's it, from your heart. And I was like, wow, man, I cannot walk. Like, it hurts. But then, like, 2 days later, I got way better. Like, I start walking, you know, get better. And he's like, just weigh in. All you got to do is weigh in, and then how you feel, and then you go and wrestle. And I was like, all right, I can weigh in. I made weight already. So I stepped in, I weighed in, and ended up wrestling some guys and trying to pin them as fast as possible and go. And I didn't realize there's so many matches. I ended up wrestling 10 matches. And then it's like an old bracket. For some reason, it didn't just go 64 to 32 to round 6.
It's a pool, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody wrestle each other until they don't lose 2 times. And I was like, how many matches do we have? So I went 5-0 in the first day. And I was like, how many matches I have left? Am I in the finals yet? Like, no, you have a long ways to go. I was like, what? So I was like, keep wrestling. And like after 8 matches, I ended up being in the semifinals. And I ended up losing to Andrew Alton. Yeah, and then I ended up taking 3rd place. And I don't know what to think of that. I mean,
but we know now you had a torn ACL the whole tournament. Like, you didn't tear it after the tournament.
So I didn't tear it completely. I was spraining it bad. I torn it later on. But like I had really bad sprain. I felt like I could wrestle kind of, but like it hurt really bad. So I was sprained, and it was like freshly sprained, you know. And I ended up taking 3rd, and then following year, they all talk about that folk style, you know, and I was like, what is folk style? like, yeah, it's that style they only do in America, you know, and you trying to get escapes and you're trying to ride and you're trying to do other stuff. And I was like, so I can throw you and there's no points? And he's like, yeah. I was like, this is so weird. Like, why would you style like that? So I started figuring out, you know, like, and trying to compete. They ranked me second in the country that year, and the folk style. And I never wrestled folk style before in my life. So, like, people in Wisconsin was talking about me who never wrestled freestyle, you know, didn't go to Fargo. Who's this guy? What's going on? What's his deal? Like, who is it? And I remember I was like, I just can't speak much English. I just trying to wrestle, you know, and getting ready for the season. And it was really bad thing that happened. WIAA, Wisconsin Federation, never let me wrestle the senior year. And I was bummed. I wanted to wrestle so bad. And I just
So
felt
you were
like,
going
wow.
into your senior year of high school
Yeah.
in the States. So
Yep.
just to go back to that Fargo real quick, when you lost to Alton, you had beaten like Ness, you had beaten, was it Villalonga as
Yeah.
well?
Chris Longa, yeah.
And
And,
Ness was like, to your point, in like Wisconsin, Minnesota area, Ness was a freaking legend back then. And so you,
a great wrestler, yeah.
great
So I wrestled
wrestler.
Lanes in the semifinals as well that year. So they told me it's great wrestler. We ended up beating him then too. So yeah, I had a tough bracket. I mean, I don't know any of those guys. I just wrestle, you know, and yeah, Alton he was really tough. Alton looked really good.
Tough.
Yeah. So yeah.
They were lights out in high school, to your point. They were awesome in college too, but like their dominance in high school was crazy, him and his twin brother. And I was going to ask you, did you notice a difference in how the Americans wrestled freestyle versus how you were wrestling it at the Europeans?
Oh yeah, for sure. They in US you just like go, 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 never stop. Out there it's like more chill, more on positioning, you know, see where you at. So more of a game out there. Here is more on conditioning and will.
And especially in folk style.
Yeah, and especially in folk style. Yeah.
So you obviously gravitated towards folk style eventually because you were a 3-time Division III national champ. You know, you pinned a friend of mine, Dimitri Boyer, in the finals. Nothing but love to Dimitri Boyer. He's a good guy. But you beat him in the finals, and that was your senior year there. What happened your freshman year at Oshkosh?
So I was still recovering from my ACL surgery. So that 1 year, you know, took me a while. That's why I didn't wrestle Fargo the following year as well. I was out for a year. And Larry told me, come over to Oshkosh. We have a great doctor. He's a Green Bay Packers doctor, and he can do your rehab, and you can take some classes, you know, just come over. And I did that. I trusted Larry, and I got there, and I got a good rehab going. And then I was like, okay, I started wrestling, you know. So it's second part of a year. I got cleared, I believe, in January. And I started wrestling, and I had 12 matches. And I was 12-0, and then I broke my foot right before nationals. So I remember in the one tournament, I felt worse and worse every time. I was like jumping a lot of rope, right? So I have a brace, and I like jump rope, doing quick feet. But for some reason, you know, like how you jumping like one. So like if you have torn ACL, what I had, and I kind of overworked the other leg way too much because, you know, I was afraid of jumping too much on that leg. And I felt like that extra weight and so many reps and the jumping on other leg, you know, pretty much put way more weight on another one, ended up like getting something to my bone, you know, like something happened. I'm not sure what, but end up being x-ray after that and have two bones completely broken. And two toes, two bones and toes. I was completely broken. And I had no idea when I wrestled as well. It's just like match after match, I felt worse and worse. And I ended up making 2 finals, I believe. And I wrestled kind of with one leg. I couldn't put any weight on. And I ended up beating somehow in overtime the guy. And I ended up being 12-0. And one interesting fact that in Division III, 12 matches is exactly 1/3 of a season. So if I wouldn't wrestle that last match with a broken foot, I would have 1 more year of eligibility. But because I did wrestle that match, I cannot get the year back.
I did know that, and as you're telling the story, I'm thinking, man, if he just would have sat out that finals match when he was already hurt, you know, it's
yeah.
So you had 2 years in a row where it was really tough on you because your senior year of high school, you're home away from, you're in a new place, you can't speak English, and you're learning to speak English, and you didn't get to wrestle the high school season, right? And then your freshman year of college, again, the injury. So you ended up winning winning the D3 Nationals your sophomore, junior, and senior year, and then you've had an incredible run on the senior circuit. You just retired not too long ago at the event on the rooftop. I was doing the commentating there, and so we all watched it. Did you know before that event that you were going to retire?
Yes, I was thinking about it. It's been a long time, like after all that canceled, I felt really good. I was ready to go, last chance in trials. I felt great. I took third in Cuba. I ended up beating some good guys, and I ended up losing to world bronze medalists by 1 point. I had him beat, and it was so close, and I felt like I was there. I felt great. And then everything got canceled and just kind of hit me, right? And now you don't know what's going to happen. And I was debating either to wrestle or not. I was planning to wrestle, until 2020 for a while and then be done. But then I wasn't sure, and it's been maybe 2-3 months of that debate, should I or not? I keep training. I kept training. I keep lifting. I kept doing all the right things. And then June 1st, I started to coach. I opened up my wrestling club called Team Nazar Training Center. So, and I started coaching and just going to see how they're going to go. I just going to mess around. I'm going to start coaching, going to do my thing. And my club got big. I got a lot of great kids, and it went really good. And then I kind of started realizing I really love doing this. I've been hurt a lot in the past 3 years, on my senior level, and been banged up. And I have my pec muscle surgery and have my neck as well. So it's been tough, on my body. And I have bulging disc in my neck. What else I had? I have groin injury and tweaked my knee really bad as well. So it's always something. So I was like, all right. I started coaching, and it's went really well. I had a lot of great kids, and I really enjoyed doing that. And then I was like, man, maybe I should just, do my best to make those kids' life better, trying to reach their goals. And I really felt that way, that it's kind of ended up being more important to help more kids than just being, by myself, getting just one thing, what I was dreaming about. And I had enough years in me, I had 6 years at senior level. I had a lot of opportunities. I had a lot of chances to do my best, and I know I got all out of it. So I know where I'm at. There's a lot of tough guys, and I won some, I beat some, and lost to some, but I felt like it was just the right time, and I feel like I'll start coaching and be just more important for me this time. So,
and are you first of all, so many things I could say to that. One, congratulations on the facility. The logo is sick, by the way. What, can I see it again?
Yeah, right here.
Team Nazar Training Center. No doubt you're going to have an incredible coaching career. You have a lot of different perspectives that I think are going to help kids relate to you. But hold on now. But are you 74 or 70?
I was in both. I was both N70 and 74 kilos.
Now let me ask you this. There's talk that the World Championships are going to happen this December. 70 kgs has your name on it, or 74, either one. But I'm just saying, I don't know, man. I get what you're saying with the injuries. I respect it, obviously, but we're less than a couple months away from the World Championships. Is that in the back of the mind at all?
So is that actually happening? Or
I heard today from someone who works for UWW that it's very good chance that it's happening in December.
So non-Olympic weights?
That's why I don't know, because there's so many questions, right?
Yeah.
If it's the full 10 weight classes, I would assume that's what it is. If it's the full 10, does Dake go down? Because if he does JB wrestle? Because if Dake goes down and JB doesn't wrestle, he loses the bye to the finals. Right, are you going to come back? Are you? And then are there going to be two major competitions within a year, right? Because you have the Worlds in December, then the Olympics in August. A lot of questions on how that impacts.
For sure.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, man.
Yeah, I was heard that, and I was like, man, this is crazy. So one thing about 70 kilos, 2017 or 2015 have both decent years. I was third, fourth in the ladder those 2 years, and I felt really good. I felt like I could get way better, but the weigh-ins one day before competition was so awesome for me at 70 kilos. It was perfect. I felt great in there. And then like the same day off, and I hate cutting weight, and I cannot weigh in and wrestle 2 hours later. It's just, I don't, especially when I cut to 70, I just end up being too much for me,
Yeah.
So I was like, if weigh-ins would be day before, it would be great. I'll go 70 for sure, like no problem. So 2018, I was like, screw it. I tried, Dave Schultz, no allowance. I tried 74. And the first tournament 74, I ended up winning it. I felt great. And I was like, I'll go 74. I'm fine. Like, I don't want to cut 70,
Yeah.
So I never been that guy who's cutting weight. So like 74 would be good. But there's so many great guys in there as well. But I look to challenge, I was looking for this past 3 years, and it was good. But man, I don't know. Maybe I can think about it.
I see a little twinkle in the eye right here. I see a little glimmer of hope. Well, I mean, to your point, 74 kgs in the United States over the past 8 years has been the toughest of any weight class maybe ever in the history of the United States, with JB and David Taylor, JB and Dake. There's, Aymar, right? There's, Mickey Lewis. There's a ton of guys. So not even including yourself, right? So yeah, 74 has been as tough as it's been ever at any weight class. And this year is going to be a prime example. So when you talk about 70 and 74, remind me, what is the pounds for 70 kgs?
70 is 154 and 74 is 163. So
and what do you weigh right now?
Right now, I'm like 173 maybe.
Well, that's a lot. Okay. Yeah.
So 70 is, I got to do day before. Day before is great. Day off, it's a little tough.
Hey, 74 is fine. Let's get up in there, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, are you back in Wisconsin, or are you in Minnesota still?
I'm in Wisconsin. I'm back in Wisconsin. I live right by Madison and Fitchburg, and my location and wrestling club is in Stoughton, Wisconsin. Stoughton, it's a great school. They won 3 state titles in a row, team state, and just a good area. Good wrestling. So if people want to find it and they want to get in touch with you, Instagram, Twitter, obviously, but you have a website set up yet? Yes, I'm going to launch my website really, really soon in here, next couple of days.
Sweet.
Yep.
And is it year-round training?
Yes, it's year-round. As right now, we go 4 times a week here in Stoughton for entire summer. And then as soon as we start that, I'm planning to open second location as well in Oshkosh, where I was in school. So I'll go twice a week here in Stoughton, twice a week there in Oshkosh. And yeah, I'm all 100% in. So I love doing it.
They better have a water tower with your face on it in Oshkosh, my friend. All right. You better go back there and have a parade for you, bringing 3 national titles back to that school. So this is awesome, man. I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope to have you back on. And I've always watched you from afar, and knew the name and knew that you were a D3 guy and have been following you. So it was an honor to call the match where you retired. It took all of us by surprise, and it's been an honor to talk with you. I want to, like I said, do whatever I can to get people to your club. So I'll continue, sending people your way if they reach out. Any final words, my friend, for the audience here?
Let's see it. Well, hey, you guys around Wisconsin, stop by Team Nazar Training Center. We would love to have you and help you to reach your goals.
Tell me you're selling those T-shirts online on the new website, because I want one, man. I'll tell you right now, I'll buy one.
I'm going to send you a link. I'm going to send you everything, and you send me your address. I'm going to hit you one. So
appreciate it, my friend. Well, we wish you nothing but the best. Congratulations on an amazing career. I'm still holding out hope for 2020, man. I'm going to send you a little information here and there on it. See if we can get you back out there.
Yeah, you fire me up. I might think about it.
And all great things must come to an end. If you want to hear more from the podcast, text WRESTLE to 555-888. That's WRESTLE to 555-888. You can also find us on Instagram, Wrestling Changed My Life, Twitter, Ryan_N_Warner, as well as our website, WrestlingChangedMyLife.com. Take care, y'all. 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 Take care.